Subway Ponte Freed. Can I take your order, please?
Welcome to the Gibbons Talks Boxing YouTube channel. I'm delighted to be joined by Tom Gray of The Ring magazine, now managing editor. Tom, the fight last night, Josh Taylor, amazing win, unanimous decision. What's your thoughts on the fight, mate?
Brilliant. Just such an epic win for not just Scottish boxing, but British boxing in general. There's not been a Scottish undisputed champion for 50 years, and that was Ken Buchanan. It's never even happened in my lifetime, and I'm old. So just, I thought he performed brilliantly. He's just been on such an incredible run for the last 2.5 years, Kieran, and it just culminated in him coming out as undisputed champion. I'm delighted for him. I'm delighted for his entire team. I just thought it was wonderful. A lot of people thought that Ramirez was bossing it in the first half. I disagree with that. And I had a look at the judges' scores, and two of the judges gave Josh 5 of the first 8, and the other judge gave him 6 of the first 8. So commentary seemed to have Ramirez, in front before he was decked. I disagree with that. I think the rounds that ended up getting in Ramirez, in fact, I know I've seen the cards, but the rounds that went to Ramirez in the main were late when Josh kind of cruised after banking the 2 knockdowns. But he was a worthy winner, there's no doubt about it. Bit of controversy with the officiating, but it doesn't make a difference. He's the top man at 140 pounds.
Yeah, without the knockdowns, the fight would have been a draw, which I think most people would feel that would have been very harsh to Josh. Yeah. But I think most people, the general opinion was he was winning the fight regardless of the knockdowns.
Yeah. I mean, that's my stream cut off. I think a minute through round 9, cut off for about 60 seconds. So under these circumstances, I just stopped scoring it. But it would have been mathematically impossible for me to come up with those numbers. Although I've seen people that I respect that had numbers along those lines. So I'll not say anything over and above that. The funny thing about it is it's like he wouldn't have won it would have been a draw without the 2 knockdowns. It's a bit silly when you think about it. Bottom line, there was 2 knockdowns, so who cares? Let's go on with it. He scored the 2 knockdowns. They were clean, legitimate, world-class knockdowns. So I thought he should have been a points winner, bigger than that. But we'll take what we can get when we're over in Las Vegas, mate.
And the referee as well, Kenny Bayless, I believe it was. There's been a lot of criticism of the way he handled the fight, particularly about the amount of time he gave after the knockdowns. And I mean, it's a bit of a tricky area because I know the referee has got to make sure the fighter's fit enough to continue. But I mean, how long is the right amount of time to check that?
I thought he had a nightmare, Kieran. I thought he had an absolute nightmare. First knockdown, you can assess. The first knockdown was a heavy shot, but Ramirez is very durable. So he didn't look massively shaken up. I mean, I didn't think the finish was available after the first knockdown. Just having a look at his legs as he rose, had his balance. But there was way too much time at that point. And I thought it was awful. Second knockdown, there's a split here, and you can break the knockdown into 3 parts. Kenny Bayless touched Ramirez, who may have loosely just eased off in the middle of a clinch. That's his fault. It's a rookie error. That's been quoted. Second part is Josh nails him with a flush uppercut, clean knockdown. Josh done his job. But again, when he rose, this time badly hurt, Bayless gave him all sorts of time. If he's not in a condition to carry on, stop the fight. That's the bottom line. You can't just stand there till the guy's head clears and he gets his equilibrium back. I thought he was badly shaken up at that point, and Josh had a great chance to finish. If you count from the knockdown to when the action resumed, it's 20 seconds. And I actually called that live. I said he's had 20 seconds to recover there. And to me, that's just a ludicrous amount of time. I'm not saying this is what Bayless did do, but it looks like he's putting a life raft. He's putting him in a life raft to save him. That's how it looks. I'm not saying that's the way it was, but too much time, in my opinion.
I don't think, I mean, I am really researched it or anything, but I don't think Kenny Bayless has got a reputation for being a bad referee, or he's got certain names that bounce around as officials who regularly have bad scorecards or bad performances, but I don't think he's generally considered a poor official.
There was some talk last night. Look, I don't go that deep into it all. I followed Floyd Mayweather's career for years and years and years, and Bayless refereed a lot of Floyd fights, and I've seen some comments along the lines that Bayless used to favour him when he was officiating. I can't say yes or no to that. I mean, I think it's very important that whether he's had a great reputation prior or a poor reputation prior, we're judging this one fight. And I thought last night, quite frankly, he had a nightmare, and that's I'm convinced of that. I mean, at one knockdown, yeah, twice, same thing, big long gaps between letting the action resume. It's not good enough. So, and that's how I feel about it.
And as far as you know, does the Nevada State Athletic Commission, have they got a procedure to bring officials in and have them account for their actions?
They do. The last time I've heard, like officials being, something being followed up is that judge that gave Estrada, what was it, 9 rounds out of 12 in his fight against Roman Gonzalez. But that was a WBA official. I'm not sure when the last time Nevada, basically asked one of their officials to explain themselves. I'm sure it has happened. The thing about it is that the fighter that I perceive to have been, that suffered from the inept officiating last night won the fight. So under these circumstances, they're probably not going to say a word. At the end of the day, the visitor got the decision. Everyone goes home in a limousine. But I was concerned about it last night, and I was very vocal about it, and I remain of that opinion.
And Josh has said since that he was actually warned in between the rounds about talking, whereas Josh says that he was actually replying to Ramirez's comments during the fight. So the refs would be on his case in lots of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, I heard someone say that Josh Taylor beat Jose Ramirez and Kenny Bayless last night, which is a good way to put it. I mean, I never even noticed any verbal. I've seen referees pull fighters up for that before, but I didn't really notice anything. A bit of goading and stuff. Well, you're trying to punch each other's faces, and you're going to get a bit of that. I think that he needs to chill out a bit. If that's what he was saying. At the end of the day, it was a fabulous fight, contested at a very, very high level. It was competitive. It was everything that we hoped it would be. Just be happy. We've sat through some garbage 12-rounders. That was anything but. I love the fight.
And the big shame about the fight, really, I mean, it was an excellent fight in every way you can imagine. Lots of skill, lots of courage, bit of drama. Is the lack of media attention it's received in the UK? Yeah. I mean, you're obviously from Scotland. What's the feeling in Scotland about this fight?
Well, I mean, to level with you, Kieran, I mean, I've been working so hard in regards to what Ring Magazine were doing for that particular show. We must have ran at least 12 items or 12 features on it, most of them exclusives. So I wasn't really paying too much attention, to what other people were doing, but I was aware of the fact that it wasn't moving the needle as much as it should have, which is, considering what was at stake, the history involved, the quality of the two fighters, Taylor's recent run, is obviously going to resonate in Scotland. Ramirez's reputation, it should have been sky high, and it wasn't. And there's multiple factors at play there. Another factor is all this Fury, Joshua, Wilder business that's been carrying on, that's been dominating the headlines. Also during the build-up, you've had Mayweather getting his hat stolen off of whatever that guy's name is. There's been numerous things happening that's kind of been trending and pushed the fight back. You had Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders, the aftermath of that. So it didn't do as well as it should have done, in my opinion. It didn't get picked up by a major broadcaster, which I don't get. I really don't get it. But it's funny. It almost seemed like the ultimate hardcore fan fight. That's what it became when it shouldn't have been. It should have been pure mainstream. Everyone should have had eyes on it. It became a hardcore fans fight when really all eyes, anyone that was into sport, particularly in the UK, should have been given that the attention it deserved last night. And it's a bit of a shame.
I think as well, basically, I've sort of thought of this quite a bit, actually, you know, through debates online about the fight and why it hasn't got the attention it deserves. Possibly two factors. I mean, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, love them or hate them. They're British promoters and they know the British scene. You know, I think that's possibly one of the reasons. And of course, if you haven't got BT or Sky beating the drum in the background, especially Sky with their Sky News platform to promote the fight, again, it's not going to be getting attention. I know Sky News, to be fair, or Sky Sports News even, sorry, they did have a few interviews on there, but nowhere near the level of Joseph Parker against Chisora the other week, because obviously that was a Sky Sports fight. Well,
look, even if we're going down the route of the fight started at what time? It's quite early by comparisons in Vegas, but 2:30, was it, somewhere around there? Consider some of the cards that we've had on, you know, late at night on Sky or on BT Sport. I can name fights that were well below the caliber of the one that was on last night. So if it does come down to, you know, broadcasters feeling that it wasn't worth putting on, or the promoters feeling that way, I don't buy it. To be honest, I've got no overall explanation to what the hell went on. It's the most high-profile fight that's ever just been swept, involving a UK fighter in recent memory, that's just kind of been swept over to the side. I'll tell you a good comparison. Carol Froch and Jermaine Taylor. Right, that's probably the last, and you know, people still talk about the fact that wasn't on a big platform at the time. So yep, you know, I don't like it, but
is it regarding the TV? Is it possibly the case that Top Rank and Bob Arum just simply wanted too much money for it?
I never heard what the negotiations were on it. Kieran, I need to pause this for a second, mate. I've got the wife shouting at me. I'm really sorry, mate.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, no worries.
Pauline. Kieran, sorry, mate. Can you edit that?
Yeah, it's no problem. I can cut that noise, mate.
Sorry about that, man.
Yeah,
where were we?
Just thought about Bob Arum and why they didn't pick up the fight.
I don't know what numbers were put around either, you know, by Bob Arum in terms of distributing the fight. But Fight TV picks it up. They're not anywhere near as big as BT Sport or Sky. So, you know, would Bob Arum have asked for astronomical money for that? Not too sure. But again, I'm only surmising that because I've not heard any figures.
On a positive note, Josh Taylor now has got the boxing world at his feet, so to speak, or on his hands, literally. Where next for him, mate? Is he going to stay at light welter, or is he going to move up to welterweight? What's your understanding?
I think that he will fight Jack Catterall next in the UK. And I think that we'll go guns blazing to get that in Edinburgh, because Josh is now the undisputed junior welterweight champion. How long is he going to be in that position? I wouldn't say a very long time. Even if he keeps winning fights, I think Josh is going to make a move to welterweight. I think he'll be full welterweight by 2022. This is all guesswork on my part. Couple of reasons for that. One, yeah, like I say, he's getting too big for the weight. Probably he would probably like to put on an extra bit of muscle and take that up to 147 pounds, where all the challenges are. He's very challenger driven. He's very challenge driven. But also, when you're undisputed champion, you're paying sanctioning fees to 4 organisations at between 2 and 3%. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you add it up, it is. So, you know, that's a lot of times that's why champions won't stay undisputed for that length of time, because we are in a 4-belt era, 5 if you include the best belt. And you end up paying out, you know, shed loads of money, and then you're also he's going to end up in a position where at least one of the governing bodies will say, "I'll go and fight this guy who Josh will not wait, and he'll want a bigger challenge. He'll want to do something else." I mean, he's only 18 fights into his career, and he's at the absolute pinnacle, at the absolute height of his skills and reputation. So, you know, he'll only want big fights. I think he'll fight Jack Catterall. I think he will honour that big, you know, Scotland versus England bout. They'll look to Edinburgh. Josh might even feel like, no, I'll take that one down to England if that doesn't come off. But that's what I see him doing next. But I think his days at 140 pounds are numbered.
And how much of an influence on his career has Ben Davidson made since he took over the reins as the trainer?
Still very... excuse me, still very early days, but he's only had a positive influence. You know, he knocked over a knockout artist from Thailand with one dig to the body, sent him packing, and then he's just became undisputed champion. And a lot of what Josh will have been doing in there was a bit more footwork from Taylor than what we usually see. He likes to mix it up that much. He warred with Baranchek, he warred with Prograis, was moving really well last night, selected his moments to punch, but there were some good Ben Davison moves in there, things that that he would have definitely have, you know, instructed Josh to do in the fight, and they were carried out. And he made a very small amount of mistakes. The way I saw it, I thought he fought a terrific battle. So yeah, Ben's done a good job with him. But let's face it, he got a diamond when he took him on. Let's face it.
Yeah. And I know it's early days yet, because Josh potentially has got maybe 3, 4, 5 years in his career, obviously depending how long he wants to go with injuries, etc. But I mean, potentially he could be the greatest ever British boxer.
Potentially he could be. Scottish, he's almost locked that in. I mean, it'll take a lot for people to move Ken Buchanan to the side, but to become undisputed champion in 18 fights and this run of I think his last 5 opponents combined have a record of 97-0, and if it's the last 6, I think it's 136-1 or something crazy like that. And it's just been belt after belt after belt, tough mission after tough mission after tough mission. Yeah, potentially he could. I think his ceiling will be welterweight, but the challenges up there are severe. But look, he's doing that well right now. You'd be struggling to write him off against anyone at the minute.
And presumably he does move up to welterweight in the next 18 months or so, 12 months. I mean, who are some of the guys out there you think he should be matched with initially, just to test his feet in the water, so to speak?
Well, I think the people that are going to be tested are the guys that are getting in against them. You know, you're looking at, I think Prograis will be looking for a rematch of their fight because it was so close. I think he's already said as much. Teofimo Lopez will be done at 135 pounds. Will probably fancy 140. Gervonta Davis fights next at 140 against Barrios. So, you know, there's major league opposition all around them. You know, if he does stay at 140, then he's not going to be lacking opposition, but he's not going to lack opposition when he moves north. And let's face it, he's won everything at 140. Very difficult once you've done all that to be hanging around so guys can basically take what you've got. He'll want to move up, I think, to the next level and win championships at 147 pounds. That's what I foresee.
One thing I observed about Josh in a few of his fights, he gets very angry, I suppose is the right word, or but in the build-up to a fight. I mean, have you been around him in the past for fights like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around him enough to know that he's only once, when I'm over to give him his ring championship belt, did I ever come across him like mega chilled out. You know, just very, very down to earth and lovely to get along with. But Josh is one of the most intense guys I've ever come across. I was speaking to someone the other day, you know, people say that, you know, such and such has put their game face on during fight week. Josh puts his game face on when he signs a contract, but it doesn't detract from what he has to do. He's so focused. It doesn't burn up his energy. He gets the bit between his teeth and he's ferocious and he wants to come at you. Yeah, it's just the way he is. And I don't think he'll change that when he's getting the results that he is. Everything's working for him.
Hello, so we've Haunted Breed. Can I take your order, please?